Welcome everyone to the new series of Leaders of Leaders. My name is Diana Daniels. I am YPO Greater Europe, and I am the founder and CEO of Thinkerlink, a social marketplace helping people to find jobs and get paid. It is my absolute pleasure today to bring the Leaders of Leaders, a new series of podcasts brought to you by the YPO Leadership Development Network. And today we have an amazing guest. I want to introduce you with Mary Baker, who has spent over 30 years in Silicon Valley developing her expertise in scaling companies and developing consumer products that has disrupted the status quo. She's been members of boards of the companies where she's currently serving as a director, like John Wiley & Sons and Blue Shield in California, Health Media, Quicken Inc. And she's been supporting women in the leadership roles. That is her passion. And that ignited when Mary joined the advisory board of Clayman Institute of Gender Research at the Stanford University. Subsequently, Mary co-founded the VMware Women Leadership Innovation Lab at Stanford, and she has served on board of trustees of Stanford University and received the Governor's Award from Stanford. Mary has been recognized in the San Mateo County of Women's Hall of Fame, Fortune's list of Silicon Valley most influential women, Silicon Valley Business Journal, Women of Influence, and Advertising Age Top 100. What amazing is that? Welcome, Mary. Super thankful of giving us the opportunity to chat with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So, I am in communication with all our members and leadership in YPO because there is a strong willing for management to bring more women, especially female entrepreneurs that are just starting her careers, female entrepreneurs as well. So thinking about that, what can you tell a female entrepreneur? How was your path? How did you reach your level of success, especially around leadership?
Yeah, I'll take you back a little bit in time. I think of myself very much as an accidental CEO. I grew up in a small town. My dad was a school teacher. I thought I was going to be a school teacher. And then I came down to Stanford to go to school and found myself graduating from college in Silicon Valley at the start of the personal computer industry. And my real formative experience was with a company called Intuit, which today has a market cap over $100 billion. And at the time when I joined, had about 30 employees and a few $1 million in revenue. The CEO of the company at the time was also a YPOer and would come and tell me about his YPO stories. And eventually, over about 10 years later, was my sponsor into YPO. But during my 10 years at the company, we grew it from a few $1 million to nearly $1 billion. And Scott really taught me about the importance of using data in decision-making. So that decision-making could be made by fact, by anybody in the company could bring forward fact, rather than decision-making being driven top-down, based on gut, based on hierarchy. He also taught me a lot about the importance of really listening to customers and beyond what they say, what they're feeling, and learning far more from the emotion that you get out of their statements and really drilling in on trying to understand those. The second CEO during my time at Intuit was a guy named Bill Campbell, who was also known as Coach and who mentored all the top names in technology at the time, from Steve Jobs to the Google founders to Jeff Bezos. And Bill taught me about leadership. And that fundamentally, you're not a leader if nobody follows you. That leadership is all about people. And I was so excited to have Bill come. I thought, I'm going to learn how to have the world's best one-on-ones, right? Because one-on-ones are not always the greatest experience. And I'm going to learn this. And I'd have my one-on-ones with Bill, and he'd ask me about my kids. He'd ask me about my husband. He'd ask me, are you getting enough exercise? How are you feeling? How's your health? And one day I asked him, why aren't you asking me about my business results? Why aren't you asking me about this stuff? He goes, yeah, that stuff's easy to figure out. The finance guys give me reports. That stuff's easy. And I figure you'll come and tell me if you're worried about something. So what I want to really care about is you as a person and make sure you're doing well. Because if you're doing well, I'm, not so worried about the rest of the stuff in your business. And just having, he led from heart, and that whole piece of the leading through your heart really, really took hold for me. And I think combining both of those leaders that I work for, building up the data side as well as the leadership side was just critical in my evolution as a leader. And
It's
after that,
interesting. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
after that, I ran a couple of venture-backed companies. And when my oldest daughter began her final year of high school, I decided it's time to step back, spend more time with her before she went off to college. I joined 2 public company boards and began to figure out my passion was how I was going to change the world. And that's when I realized that my path along that would be getting more women into leadership roles. That after, attending all these conferences and symposium on how to solve poverty, how to solve some of these intractable issues in society, they really realized that the thing that hasn't been tried ever is having at least a third, maybe half of all the seats around decision-making tables in the world held by women. And there's plenty of research that shows once you get to those numbers, 3 or a third, decisions start being made differently, that the women's voices are actually heard and decisions start being made differently. So that's where I think, my path has then been on changing the world through getting more women into leadership roles.
That's super inspiring. So what in this, in this path, what do you think that differentiate yourself more from the rest of the pack? And with that, I will ask you also, which or what is your why?
Yeah, so I believe, the things I've come through from a leadership perspective is really, learning from some of my mentors that, leadership is really around caring. It's really around the heart. It's really around demonstrating your passion and not being afraid of it. I think I was so freed up in just how I came to the world once I realized, I'm going to go for what I think is the right thing. What is the fair thing? What is the right thing to do in a situation? And what's going to happen? Right? Okay. So somebody tells me, I don't want to hear that anymore. Okay. Right? Somebody says, I don't agree with you. Okay, I can handle that. And really, once you get that confidence in the right thing to do is the right thing, I think that really starts to free, at least for me, I think made really a difference for me. That my teams, knew I had data. I'd share the data behind, decisions. I'd let them make a lot of decisions. And then we'd always talk about, well, what's the right thing to do from an integrity and equity, customer and employee standpoint. And, you get skepticism sometimes. And I remember one of the guys coming back and saying at the end, he's like, wow, I am just so surprised. It's so good to see, good people be successful. Because I think people think there's you have to not be. I think, right, there's these views of CEOs where you're not always, looking out for the whole picture. And I think you can.
Perfect. Thank you. And on this, if we think about the next generation of female entrepreneurs, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I think it's important to have a group of people who understand what you're going through. So whether that's in YPO, and connecting in with other women, starting up companies, accessing them through, the networks or through, Women's Business Network or women in your own chapters or regions. There's plenty of data that shows having a support group of people who understand what you're going through makes a massive difference in your success. Having a network, a sisterhood, and I think especially for women entrepreneurs, connecting with those other women in YPO, but also getting access to the men in YPO. Yeah. That for a lot of women, they don't know, right? They don't have the same access into a lot of folks, and YPO can be a real solution for that. So I am a big believer on especially the value of YPO for women, and really, really, really encourage the women in the organization to take advantage of all the resources that are available within YPO. I think, beyond that, just having that confidence in yourself, right? This is the thing, right? Have confidence in yourself, and make sure that that comes across. Again, it's just, I am confident that what I'm doing is the right thing. Listening, right? You want to listen. You always want to be open. You want to make sure that you're not deaf to feedback and input. But being confident and reaching out and connecting with other women, I'd say, be a very important, as you're starting out.
This is amazing because you already answered my next question. I was going to ask you like for 3 takeaways on this, and what I'm hearing from you is basically reach out, listening, and confidence in yourself. Do you have any other takeaway that we can pin on that?
Yeah, people first, open, honest communication. And I think one of the things that took me a long time to learn in leadership was stop trying to make everybody the same, right? Understand what each person's strengths are and set them loose on their strengths instead of trying to make everybody good at communication and analytics and leadership and all these little check marks when we do performance reviews for people. Figure out what Diana's strength is and let her loose on her strength, and you'll go much farther than trying to put her into a box that you want everybody to fit in.
I see this happening completely, and it's super great advice, and I am a true believer of this. Now we're going to go to a section that I like a lot. So I'm going to ask you to, trust the process, and I'm going to ask you 10 very quick questions, and I want you to please answer with whatever comes to your mind. It's a little bit for us to know you just a little bit better. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Morning or night?
Morning.
Yeah. Time, love, or money?
Love.
Always wins love. What was your childhood career?
I was going to be a superhero.
I love that. Amazing. So what was your superpower?
Well, flight, I think, is the superpower.
Beautiful. What's the best career advice you ever received?
When your babies are little, every ounce of the biology in your body wants you to stay home. But when your babies are older, when they're teenagers, you need to be available and accessible to your babies. And so that advice led me to continue really working through when my kids were little to be and put me in a position where by the time I've got 3 daughters, that by the time they were hitting their teenage years, I was able to step back, join corporate boards and have a much more flexible schedule to be there when they needed me.
Pretty cool. So if it's not in the city that you currently live, what city would you live? Where?
I love California. I think California is actually great. I think within 4 hours, I can go skiing in the mountains. Within 45 minutes, my husband surfs. We can go surfing. He can go surfing at the beach. We can go hang out at the beach. I can go to LA. There's just, everything is really easy and convenient. I can go to great music and museums in San Francisco. I really am a fan of California.
Okay. Doesn't beat California. It's fine. So what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of something? What it is?
I am afraid of people not figuring out how to come together and be respectful of each other, and what can happen when we polarize into camps and we polarize into positions and stop being open, then we stop learning, we stop listening, and what can happen when we stop doing those things.
Got it. So what keeps you awake at night?
I sleep really well. Getting ready for a call like this. Oh my goodness. Like, what am I going to say? What's she going to ask me?
So what makes you wake up? That's the last one.
It's a new day, right? It's a new day. Like, what's going to happen today? How do you greet the day? Let's go take it on.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I guess that it's time, unfortunately, to conclude our podcast. But I just want to highlight some of the insights, Mary, that you gave us. One of the great things that we are hearing from you today is it is important when organizations start taking in consideration more women, because then when women take part of those decisions, then important things start to happen to those companies. Make sure you take your decisions with data. It's if you're a female entrepreneur, make sure you have a group of people, not only your sisterhood, but also your male partners around you that can share your vision. Have confidence, listen to people, reach out to people. Sometimes it's very difficult, that, right? Like, to reach out to people. And the one that I love from you today is people first. Drive an honest and genuine communication with your team. Anything else, my friend Mary?
Go do it. Go do it. You can make it happen.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I truly want to thank
Right.
Mary Baker today. Thank you for being here with us and sharing with us, not only the female entrepreneurs, but with all the YPOers, your knowledge and your insight. And I want to invite you, all of you, to the next episode of Leaders of Leaders. My name is Diana Daniels, and I will be happy to be with you once more. Stay tuned and see you soon.